Hi everyone, it's Rax, bringing you a super important build guide for next season. This is the Rasha Meteor Wizard. In my opinion, I think this is probably pound for pound the best build in the game. It crushes solo speeds, it's pretty good in T16, it's going to detonate GR 150 solo, maybe with the fastest time in the world. It's godly for speed metas, it's godly for the high metas. This build can do it all. It can crush the trash, it can kill the elites, and it murders the boss. Has absolutely no weaknesses. It's super tanky. There's two ways to play it. I'll go over both of them. And actually, I think with the Season 28 altar, it's definitely going to be the strongest version of it that you've ever seen. So let's jump in and let's learn how to play it. The first thing that I'm going to teach you is the Comet version. The Comet version is very easy to play. The reason why is you just take the Comet Meteor, and you just throw meteors everywhere, and you do like literally nothing. You just walk around, you throw some meteors here and there, and that's it. That's like the entire gameplay, and you just keep your distance. It's very low APM, very low actions per minute. Very good for a casual player, chilling, playing on the couch, walk over here, throw a meteor. It's very simple. The other way to play is with Star Pact. And Star Pact is a little bit trickier, because Star Pact spends all of your arcane power and throws a mega meteor, which hits way harder. So obviously the idea is to build back up all of your arcane power and throw it again. Well, that requires some extra work. You got to actually get the arcane power back, and one of the ways you could do that is with spectral blades, etc. But there is a node in the altar next season that gives you resource on crit, and it looks to be pretty good. So maybe you can actually throw the meteors, they'll hit, they'll crit, and maybe it'll just give you your arcane power back, and then you can just go around and just throw meteors everywhere. So this might end up being just as easy as Comet. So they're both here. But just in case we don't have Season 28, I want this build guide to last for a long time. Let's just look at the Comet version, which is even easier. Okay, so obviously we're going to take Rasha's set. There's a lot of words here. Pretty much it says you need to hit with all four of the elements, arcane, cold, fire, and lightning. And then whenever that comes down, it gives you some temporary immunity to those elements. Okay, then it gives you massive all resist, which is going to keep you alive. Then it's going to give you a massive damage increase. And then it's also going to throw meteors of that element. So for example, when you teleport forward and you hit them with Calamity, it's going to throw an arcane meteor. When you throw meteor, it's obviously going to hit them with an ice meteor, literally throwing one. When your spark flint attacks them, because it's a fire attack, it's going to throw a fire meteor, etc. And it's going to keep refreshing your 4 stacks. So pretty much what it turns into is you got to activate all of your abilities in the beginning. And then you pretty much just have to cycle through 2 of them. As long as you keep doing 2 attacks all the time, your buffs stay up and the meteors keep flying. But actually, this just happens naturally. Your familiar naturally attacks. Your storm armor naturally zaps. You're going to be teleporting through the rift. And of course, you're going to be throwing your own meteors. So you're going to keep everything up naturally, which is what makes the build so easy to play. Now, as far as the stats, if that wasn't enough good news, Rasha is very forgiving on the stats, especially next season, because they give you the resource on crit. So you obviously want crit, and area damage. Those are the 3 superstar stats. Of course, you want the cold elemental damage here if you're playing Comet, and you would want arcane elemental damage if you're playing Star Pact. But the other stats are just not that important. You don't really need cooldown, because there really isn't a cooldown on the build. Yeah, black hole or diamond skin, whatever you want to use, that's fine. But it's not that important. You don't have Captain Crimson's on, so you don't need cooldown for that either. Resource cost reduction is normally pretty important, just so you can keep throwing as many meteors as you want. But not as important this season, because again, you have the resource on crit. Attack speed is okay. Usually, though, you don't sit there and just throw meteors as fast as you can. So attack speed isn't the absolute best either. So The stats are very, very flexible here, which is very, very good for you. As long as you have crit, area damage, and the elemental damage where you want, a lot of the stuff is pretty flexible. There are 2 weapons that you must have. You have to have the Smoldering Core. It's going to lure enemies to your meteor impacts, and meteors deal increased damage on consecutive hits on the same target up to 10 times. This is why the Rasha wizard is so good at pretty much everything. If they hit you with 1 meteor and you die, well, you're dead, right? Problem solved. But if you're really tanky, if they hit you with a ton of meteors in a row, all of a sudden you're taking way more damage. So if you're tanky, well, then you get destroyed as well. So it's like a win-win. And then the Grand Vizier is going to make it way cheaper and just give you way more damage. The nice thing about having 2 staffs here is whichever one is your better one, equip that, and the worse one, cube it. However, it drops for you. So you can actually interchange the weapons, which makes it easier to farm for. So you're going to win there. Nilfur's Boast, 600% damage on Meteor on a pair of boots. That's insane. And if your Meteor hits 3 or fewer enemies, the damage is increased by 900%. That's why Rasha is so good at killing the bosses. And that's why when Rasha pulls the whole map and they throw meteors, well, everything dies to area damage. Then the kind of chunky stuff dies because you have the Smoldering Core and they're taking more damage. And then when there's only 1 or 2 juggernauts left, the reason that they die is because of the pair of boots. When you hit 3 or fewer enemies, you get 900% increased damage. I mean, this is why Rasha has everything. And I think they also even have, I forgot to mention, they have teleport resets. Attacking with Meteor reduces the cooldown of teleport by 1 second. They also have teleport resets. I mean, this build has everything in it. It's why it's so good. And then for the main stats on most of these armor pieces, we're looking for int, vitality, meteor damage when we can get it, and armor, of course, to stay alive. Okay, so let's look at the COE. I mean, you should know what COE is. It's used in literally every build. We do way more damage on cold. So when cold is coming, you got to set it up. Right before cold is arcane, I believe. So when arcane is coming, get set up, get very far away from the enemies, because you have Zay's Stone, you do more damage that are far away. Jump into an Aki or jump into one of the pink rings from Season 28, very far away, and start throwing the meteors. And when they hit on the cold cycle, they're all going to die. And it's no surprise we take crit area damage there. Bane of the Trapped is used in literally every build. Makes them take 60% more damage. Halo of Carini is absolutely required. Take 80% less damage when your Storm Armor electrocutes something. Be careful. Do not stand right next to the monsters. If you only have 1 monster left and you stand right next to him, it only works if your Storm Armor electrocutes an enemy 15 yards away. If you stand right next to him, they're not 15 yards away. Your Carini will drop and you will die. I can just pretty much guarantee it. Remember, you also have Power Hungry, so you do more damage to enemies that are further away again. So you should not be giving the monsters a hug. And Zays, again, as we explained, you do more damage as they're further away. Why wear 1 set? Well, you can wear 2. You can also wear All Guilds, or you can try to squeeze in Guardians at the beginning of the season. But with the Altar, I just don't think so. I think you just go straight All Guilds. All Guilds going to make you take way less damage and deal way more damage to elites. Just a win-win here. So you'll take that and the bracers. A life on hit roll is good on the bracers to keep you alive. And the cold elemental damage is needed if you're playing Comet. And then Squirt's Necklace, obviously. Wizards' survivability relies on shields. And there's actually a built-in shield in the altar and some other defense. So wizards can keep their Squirt's Necklaces up way better than most classes. So we got to take this, and we take Stricken to help us kill the really high-end bosses. Black Hole Absolute Zero is just for more damage. You don't have to take this. What I like to take some other times is Diamond Skin Prism, and that just gives you infinite arcane power. You just never need to worry about it ever. But with the arcane power on crit next season, you probably don't need it, so maybe you do go Black Hole. So you go Black Hole Absolute Zero. Sparkflint Familiar is going to give you more damage, but the main reason we take it is it's a fire skill that's passive. It's going to keep your fire buff up for Rasha. Teleport must be Calamity if you're playing Comet. Do not take another rune. If you take another rune, you're going to brick the build because you need to deal arcane damage somehow, and the the rune that deals damage for teleport is Calamity. So you need to take Calamity. Do not take another one. It's a huge mistake. People put together a Tal Rasha build. They say their Tal Rasha build sucks. I don't know why. But the first thing I always look at is their teleport rune. You didn't take Calamity like the guide said. You need to deal damage as Arcane. Take Calamity. It's a must. Storm Armor, Power of the Storm. This is going to give us our Lightning Meteor, our Lightning Tal Rasha stack, and it's going to make everything very cheap so we can throw more meteors. Magic Weapon Deflection is going to keep us alive. If you're feeling immortal, you can take something else. You can take maybe Force Weapon or something just to get more damage. Okay? And then Meteor Comet is what's going to deal all of our damage. Power Hungry, more damage to enemies that are further away. Elemental Exposure, when we deal damage with multiple elements, we get 5% more damage for each of our attacks. Well, we use all the different elements on Tal Rasha, so this passive was literally made for this set. Astral Presence is going to give us infinite arcane power. Again, if you're good on arcane power, you can swap this for something else. You could take Blur to stay alive. You could take Illusionist to stay alive and help reset your teleports. You could take a Cheat Death. You could take Audacity to do damage when they're further away and do damage when they're close. You could take that as well. Anything works here. Mempo you must have. We're going to cube this, and Meteor Shao Rune applies to all casted meteors and does way more damage. Huge multiplier. And finally, Ring of Royal Grandeur rounds out all of our sets. So that's essentially how you would push with Comet. Just changing it slightly for Star Pact, obviously you need to put Star Pact on your bars, which means that you have to have a generator to bring back your arcane power. So we'll take Spectral Blades, Ice Blades. Remember, we lost our Ice rune, so we need something with Ice to bring back the arcane powers so we can throw the Star Pact meteors. The rest of this, I think, is pretty much the same. Conduit, instead of deflection, is going to help you generate the arcane power. Need the arcane rolls on your gear here. And here you can take Arcane Dynamos, passive. Whenever you use your signature spells 5 times, then your next major spell is going to deal 60% increased damage. You charge up the Arcane Dynamo stacks, and then you throw a Star Pact Meteor on your Arcane cycle, and everything dies instantly. It's a lot of damage. This might be very playable with the resource on Crit Node, but if you don't want to bother with all this generating and timing and throwing the Arcane Dynamos, just play Comet. It's almost as good. Speed GRs is almost the exact same. We don't need Stricken for Speed GRs, so you just put in a Band of the Powerful. But you'll notice it's almost exactly the same setup as the Comet setup. Illusionist resets your teleports. That's very good for speed content, so that's a good idea. And then in T16, you just wear an Aether Walker. You can actually take away one of the huge staffs. You can wear an Aether Walker so you can just teleport whenever you want and take a bunch of stuff to regenerate your arcane power. And Evocation is nice to reset your cooldowns. You can take a Gold Wrap to be immortal. You can take a Boon of the Hoarder to pick up a bunch of gold if you need that. There's a lot of flexibility on the T16 version. Just use Aether Walker to teleport everywhere, and you're just going to destroy everything. Okay? Let's quickly talk about the Paragon points. You'll take Move Speed. You'll only take Arcane Power if you're playing Star Pact. You shouldn't need it for Comet. Then most of your stuff should go into Intelligence. You shouldn't need too much Vitality next season. Take the 2 crits first, then the cooldown, and then finally the attack speed. For the defense, you want to go Armor, and then Life, and then All Res and Life per second last. And then in the utility, honestly, all of these are good. I'd go AD first, then probably the RCR, and then the Life on hit, and then the Globes last. Okay, let's get into some gameplay now. Let's play some Diablo 3. I have a very mediocre Tal Rasha wizard made here. I purposely made her kind of bad. Strength Og, by the way. Level 65 Bane of the Powerful. Level 120 Bane of the Trap. That's pretty good. Level 78 Zays. Okay. Not even 10k int. No, I'm not using my Paragon points. Okay. And I want to show you how this gameplay works. And I want you to notice one thing here. Let's try a 100 with a very mediocre Tal Rasha wizard. Remember, your Tal Rasha wizard will be way stronger. Not only in terms of gear, but you'll have the altar. But I want you to pay attention to how chill this gameplay is. So go ahead and activate everything. Just throw meteors. Oh, throw a meteor. Oh, throw a meteor on that ghost. Throw him dead. Oh, there's a ghost back here. Meteor, dead. This is what it's like to play Tal Rasha. Everything just dies. I have my 4 stacks. You have to make sure that you have your 4 stacks. If you're playing and you don't have 4, something's wrong. Gotta go back to town and look and see what's up. Just throw meteors on the elites, dead instantly. I mean, it just requires no skills. Build's just way too powerful. Just throw a meteor here, teleport there. You can see when the spark flint attacks, it throws a fire meteor. When I attack, I throw the cold meteor. When my storm armor zaps something, it throws a lightning meteor. Okay? Oh, I don't even have my enchantress geared. I'm playing without a follower right now. Okay, I don't even have a follower. That sucks. I don't have NEMs. Okay, well, let's go next. I got my 4 stacks. Notice how it's starting to fall off because I'm not attacked. I'll let them fall off. I'm standing here. See how they fall off? Now we got to hit them with 4 elements again. Already hit them with 2, 3. Okay, we need to get our final thing. Teleport onto them. We got our 4 stacks. And notice how it keeps refreshing. Okay, it's very easy. As long as you just move around and stay active, you'll keep everything up naturally. It's not something that you should have to monitor. Okay, well, I killed that guy instantly. One thing to notice, do you notice how on the tier list I told you that the God DH was better for farming than Tal Rasha? The God DH is way faster. Tal Rasha is not the fastest build in the world. Tal Rasha will clear much higher than the God DH, but slower. And in general, the Diablo 3 rewards speed over high clearing. But Tal Rasha does fall into one of those exceptions where Tal Rasha is so good, it's so powerful, it can clear so much higher than other builds that it makes up for it. So for Tal Rasha, you could definitely target 3-minute clears, 3.5-minute clears, 4-minute clears. That's not a problem. That makes sense for this build. It's not the most mobile out there. But its power makes up for it. Okay, so we've gotten an absolutely terrible map, but I mean, this build is perfect for the casual player because you just don't do anything. The number of buttons that I have to press is almost nothing. I only activated these at the start of the rift. I pressed my storm armor once. I pressed my familiar once. I pressed my magic weapon once. You only have to refresh it at the most once per rift. Okay. So those 3 buttons are gone from my bars. I teleport just to move around whenever I want to. I'm throwing meteors whenever I see stuff to kill. And the only thing that you spam is your diamond skin. But if you take black hole, you don't have to spam that. You would just throw that on elites. So that would be even less buttons to press. So if you're a person that likes to choose a build based upon, how many buttons do you have to mash all the time, that this is like the best. There's no build in the game where you press less buttons and still win. Okay, this guy is in my way. I don't like that. It's just been a really bad map, but it doesn't matter. Still going to do fine here. And by the way, I want you to watch how fast the boss dies. Watch how good this build is on the boss. Okay, it's going to be funny. Okay, Vesalius, I'm throwing the meteors. By the way, my arcane power is always full. Okay, look. Gone. That is the Tal Rasha Meteor Wizard. Probably pound for pound the best build in the game. My gems are level 65 and 78. I don't even have 10k int on this wizard. Your wizard not only will be way better than mine, but you'll have the full altar, which is a minimum of 10 GR tiers, maybe like closer to 15 GR tiers of damage when you count everything. And I promise you, if you make this build as we have outlined it, and there will be the Maxroll guide as well, you're just going to destroy Season 28. It's just a guarantee. Hope you like this build, guys, and many more videos are coming. Thanks for all the subs that have been coming in lately. Thank you.